Hello and welcome to the Downshift. As in this episode, we'll be reviewing the Canadian Grand Prix. We'll discuss the coverage, or should I say lack thereof, of the race. We'll scratch our heads over what the hell is happening at McLaren and dive into Ferrari, the care for tyres and Lewis's turnaround. And finally, we will visit our predictions, God help us.
No rush for that.
Lights out.
Drop the clutch.
And let's get racing.
Hello and welcome back to the Downshift. Joining me is Huppy, Schwags, Lockie, and I'm KT as we excitedly review the Canadian Grand Prix. Now, I do have to start with an apology, although, mind you, we've had no comments on our YouTube channel missing the drive along, but I did have some technical difficulty, so I wasn't able to record it before the race.
You couldn't put a clean lap together? Hit a groundhog, did we?
I was really looking forward to this because I've been driving this track relentlessly. So no technical difficulties. But we did see Canada's first sprint race, which I hate to say I actually did enjoy. And Huppy will visit your thoughts in a minute because you used some big boy words to describe the end of that race. And we also saw the main race, which had a lot of action and some unexpected results coming out of that, which, again, what a mix.
Got to say, race of the season so far.
Yep. Something happening all the way through.
Bit more action than I thought there would be. And yeah, a decent finish, a few twists and turns in there, especially for McLaren. So yeah, we can get into that.
Obviously not the finish that most people wanted, except for Huppy. But otherwise it was fine.
Only because I was tipping Kimi for the win. Jeez.
Oh, look, and I have to say,
George.
respectfully, Huppy waited for all of us to watch the race before he then sent us the update of the predictions.
Oh yeah. No, I was polite. I was
Politely
polite.
gloating.
I think we can cross out the word respectfully.
I was impatiently waiting for you guys to watch the replay.
But we do have a couple of last-minute updates. So after the race had been completed, the FIA then did release some additional penalties. They issued 2 additional penalties for exceeding pit lane speed limits, which is a 5-second penalty that Hulkenberg and Bottas got. They then also issued a exceeding VSC delta for Bortoleto with another 5-second penalty. But the one I loved the most was that they actually issued a suspended penalty of €5,000 to George Russell for throwing a head restraint onto the track. And they were the literal words.
Did you see how far he hurled it? Like, it was a fair effort.
It was a good throw.
It was a decent throw.
I'm putting the image
Decent
up on the screen here right now so that our listeners can have a look at it. He got great purchase out of that.
Hey, I thought the English soccer team would be on the phone getting him to do some throw-ins.
He took his gloves off when he got out of the track and threw them on the ground. He stomped around. That was classic. That was great. That was a temper tantrum at its finest.
I reckon it's a new party game for the end of season drinks that the drivers get together for. Like, let's toss the headrest out.
Yeah, how far we can throw the headrest.
Yeah. 5 beers, toss a headrest out.
I did not think that was going to go that far. I thought they were lighter than that, but it must have a little bit of weight behind it.
The weight of George's frustrations.
But nothing's as disappointment.
The weight of a slipping championship. Sorry, I'll let you go now.
No, go, please continue. No,
that's it. That's all I've got. That's all I've got.
I'm really following my notes, but
Yeah.
Glad someone is.
Disappointment by the look that George gave through the fence as the marshals were pushing his car back. It was just a pure look of disgust.
That's a great photo for those who haven't seen it. Yeah, hop on the YouTube channel and check it out.
And the other great one's when he's watching Kimi on the next lap come past as well.
Not a happy camper.
Jan.
Yay, Kimi!
Yeah.
But we did see that, and look, I've got to say that the hero of the race was the marshal under the VSC safety car, who had quickly ran out onto track to grab a little bit of debris, and he's come running back and just dove through the safety window.
He did
That
the
was my
Superman
driver
effort
of the
through
day.
it.
Driver of the day?
Did he-
Driver of the
Lewis-
day.
Lewis did
He got
nothing.
through that.
Driver of the day, yep.
He rolled over. Oh, it looked like he'd practiced that a few times. It was pretty smooth.
Yeah, no, marshal training is quite intense.
We'll see him on the F1 version of Ninja Warrior next, I think.
But with that, we saw that with the championship battle between Russell and Antonelli, we did see elbows out as Papatoto got on the comms after Bono had told Kimi to calm down twice in the sprint race. It took Papatoto to come on and give that stern, firm word to get things back on track.
Yeah, Kimi was in trouble.
I think we can all clearly see the tensions starting to rise with the competition level in that team, because they both know they're on for potentially a world title here with their current form. So, yeah, watch this space.
This is
Well,
feeling
hold
very
on,
McLaren of 2025.
Yeah, I want to correct you there, Nathan. Now, if our subscribers would like to go back to last week's tape and listen to Christian, who said that if Kimi Antonelli won the Canadian Grand Prix, George Russell had no chance for the championship. So it's already been called. We can basically hand the
He's
trophy
called
to
it.
Kimi right now. Christian has said that that's it. We're done. It is Kimi. So no point racing the rest of the season, realistically.
And I'm not even going to try and put a caveat on it. I mean, look, I'm just going to stand by it.
Well, we know
You
your
might as
predictions.
well.
This is like the
Kimi
predictions
pole
of
and Kimi for
Ferrari
the
in
win.
2024 or 2025.
Well, he's now out to
when
nearly
we first started.
it's nearly a 2-race lead in the points.
It's a
43 point
43
lead
point
now.
difference, yeah.
He's-
So
Yeah, exactly.
Particularly with George's DNF, it's really hurt him.
Yeah.
Mm.
yeah.
Yep.
So we've got Antonelli now sitting on 131 points with Russell on 88, mind you. As Doc Brown says, when this baby hits 88, we're going to see some serious. George is going to have to
Pull the finger out.
You'll have to insert your own laughing there, Christian, when you do the edit.
I know.
Do we have a laugh track?
Yeah.
Cricket's chirping there.
I'm trying to beat you, Schwags, on my kids thinking you're the funny one in the podcast.
To be fair, KT, no one's voted you the funny one ever. So it's all right.
No, that's why I'm the anchor, weighing us down. But
So what are we doing? We're calling this as Antonelli's championship already, or
Well, Christian is.
We
The
jump
rest
in.
of us haven't jumped in.
just checking?
So with Russell being out on lap 30, I'll put the post up from him where he did say, it lost for words, breaking down from the lead, really loved the battle with Kimi and wished to have had 40 more of those laps. Proud of my weekend in Canada. Otherwise, with pole in the sprint race win, pole yesterday and leading the race today, bring on the next race. So he's remaining positive and upbeat.
Yeah, that's all he can do. But, in reality, when we were watching them race, I think Kimi had the pace on him. So I don't know if he would have been able to hold the lead for the rest of the race. I think Kimi probably would have got past him at some point. And
To be fair, he did look a little bit dejected when they were interviewing him, which,
Mhm.
fair credit to him. No,
Absolutely.
I can see why it could be, but yeah, he wasn't a happy camper.
But at least we were able to see George on the TV and, Schwags and I met up for breakfast this morning. So in honour of the Canadian Grand Prix, we had Canadian pancakes gathered around the TV. But both of us were quite dejected in regards to, I don't know how it could get any worse, but the F1 coverage.
You catch yourself numerous times going, when are they showing this or when are they showing that? And when we waited 20 laps to see the Piastri or Albon incident, and there wasn't
no
even like
coverage
there was
at all.
much happening. There wasn't like there was. I mean, I get it when there's jam-packed action along the sides, and we're struggling to fit it in here somewhere, but there wasn't really. It was sort of
They had
plenty
safety.
of opportunities to. Well, yeah, exactly, like safety car. And they're showing cars pulling into the pits, and I'm like, who cares?
Yeah, that was a good example of where they could have done better. And the commentators didn't know why there was a yellow flag either, because they're watching the broadcast feed like we are. And
I think they saw debris on the track, and I think at that stage, Chris and I were looking at going, oh, there's debris on the track. And like that was the sort of the first you knew that something had happened. That for
The only
Albon
reason
to
they
be out,
picked
and
it
then
up was
Piastri
when
was
Piastri
in,
had to come in for repairs.
and like a
with the wing,
14-second pit stop. I'm like, well, that's unusual.
Yep.
So there.
Yep. And Albon had disappeared. And look, even Martin Brundle was saying it would be nice for us to see the replay of. And he mentioned this a couple, not even with Piastri Albon.
Yeah.
There's a couple of incidents where they were literally asking for the footage to be shown so they could speak to it.
I could well imagine
to be fair,
the
Albon
commentators finishing
disappearing
that
is pretty
race.
common.
The commentators finishing that race would have been upset about the coverage because it impacted what they could provide to the worldwide audience.
And to be fair, the technology is there because we see it on our home racing stuff where, the V8 supercars and all that, of what they can put packages together and how they can splice a replay in straight away. So it's not like the technology isn't there for them to do it almost instantaneously. So I don't know who's in control of whatever feed it is, but they need to be basically sacked and put a decent crew in.
And that's it. It's F1. They're a multi-billion-dollar business. Put some decent production. I mean, they've got cameras all around the track, so you've got high quality feeds. Even give it to Sky. Just give them the feed from every single camera and let them produce it.
Here's at least 20 feeds that you can pick and chop it as you like.
There was also a couple of strange shots, like cars coming into like turn 1 and 2 through that tight little hairpin section. I noticed a couple of times in the coverage, they'd zoom right into the cars going. You couldn't even see what was happening because they were zooming in too close rather than everyone wants to see the cars, who they're battling, frame it all properly. We don't need to see fancy zoomed in pics of their cockpit. It's just confusing to watch and doesn't add anything to the spectacle, I don't think. So, yeah, some odd choices.
So there you go, F1. From the downshift crew, try harder, be better.
Yep, 100%.
Not that we could do any better.
Come on, the quality editing that we have on the podcast.
We're here for our opinions. That's all. That's all that matters.
We would have had a funny-looking Groundhog pic on there with a counter next to it, probably.
Wait for it.
It would have been better.
But we've spoken about McLaren now. Happy, you've got the hat on, I've got the shirt on. But we thoughts on what the hell happened to McLaren this weekend?
They did not listen to my weather report for a start. If they had, they would have started on dries. That's all I'm saying.
I have to say that I think this just fuels rumours that Andrea Stella is going to Ferrari. I think he's preparing his strategic decisions for his future job prospects.
The starting on Inters was that was interesting. Every other team had made a different decision, and even on the outlap, Oscar was saying, "I think we should box now. It's a mistake." And they went around and did like 3 formation laps, and he kept telling him, "I don't think this is the right thing to do." And they should have just done it. Anyway, strange, quite strange.
Even to the point if they boxed Oscar. They boxed one of them. And, this whole thing is you listen to the radio interchange and Lando had no idea what they should be doing. Oscar's there going, it's too dry for Inters. We should just box now. We had multiple formation laps. So, yes, they would have started from pit lane, but God, they would have been in a much better position by doing that than messing around for 3 laps waiting to come in.
Didn't Oscar say on his first formation lap that he was still sliding around a bit on the Inters, or was that, did I misunderstand?
He said it was completely skating around and they couldn't get traction. It was like sliding over the top.
So doesn't that mean that they still needed the Inters?
No.
That means that the Inters...
The outlap, where they come out of the pits and drive around to the pit box before the start, they did that on slicks and it was quite slippery. So I think that's when they chose to put Inters on, and then they do the formation lap to the grid. And that's when they would have known then that everyone else was not on the Inters. And that's when Oscar started saying, what are we doing? Even the engineer came on the radio and said, yeah, there's no more rain forecast. It should be starting to dry up. So that when they agreed, it was going to get drier.
Did they call you, Lockie?
They sent me a text, right? I was on it straight away.
I think Andrea Stella held his hand out the side of the pit box too for a bit too.
It could be though that they did the right thing by letting them start the race on the Inters and doing a pit because they knew that tyre degradation would be low. So if they got a reasonable start and could run for at least a few laps, they might be able to build up more spread in the field. And we saw that when Oscar pitted because he came back out. He wasn't last. So if he had pitted at the start of the formation lap, he would have started from the very, very back of the grid and would have had to have overtaken another 4 or 5 cars. But as it was, they did a couple of laps. He pitted, and then he came out sort of at the lower end of the mid pack. So I think from a positional point of view, they probably did the best job possible to fix the situation, but it was just a crappy situation to start with. They're just on the back foot from lap 1.
Yeah, well, they would have started ahead of Lindblad.
Maybe one.
And then to add to that, obviously technical issues and reliability. So we had Norris who finished up around lap 40. Not being able to finish the race.
That was a big failure too. The car sounded like it was a bloody bag of marbles, a gearbox.
That gearbox went.
That was gone.
Was it. That was a great sound.
Yeah. It doesn't sound good when it sounds like your car's about to rip apart.
And McLaren were known for their reliability last year as well. So I think this would be quite frustrating for them.
But as we move on to one other team, I mean, this is where Ferrari, from the highs and lows, and we've seen Hamilton in this race, not happy at the start, talking about needing more power, but then at the end of the race was really happy what was going on. But I think the most important thing that's broken the internet today has been the care for tyres. And so, as we can see here on the screen...
Do you want to send the... who sent that message out and said this is how you...
That's how they go from softs to hards?
That's the one. There we go.
Anyway... The Ferrari mechanic seemed like he was caring for those tyres.
He was a tyre whisperer.
Yes, absolutely.
A tyre whisperer, for sure.
Good tyre.
Probably Lewis Hamilton's tyre whisperer because Hamilton, he looked after his tyres quite well, and that Ferrari showed some pretty good pace towards the end of that race, especially.
Yeah,
It did,
Hamilton
it was
had a
good
good
driving.
day.
Yep.
I
Not
actually
so
didn't think he
much
was good.
Charles.
Well, no, not so much Charles.
How much did the crowd cheer when he overtook Verstappen, though?
Yes, you can
huge.
They
actually
could hear
hear
it.
it on the comment on the.
Yeah.
It was a good
the
overtake
broadcast.
too.
It was almost blink and you miss it. I mean, as we were sitting there, Dan, it's like, gee, that just happened.
Well, it's because the coverage mostly missed it.
Yeah.
We only saw it in the top corner of the screen. The commentators caught it, which was good, and then the coverage went back to it. But also when you look at Hamilton's onboard, I was going to say, it looks like the FIA is mostly resolved. I think these issues with cars with these super clipping, sort of running out of a lot of speed at the end of straights and so on. But this was one example where if you looked at Hamilton's onboard, Verstappen seemed to come off the power or start regenerating energy very early. So Hamilton shot past him at a fair rate. There was a big speed difference. And I don't think it was just braking lately. I think that was Verstappen doing a bit of energy recovery as well. So if Hamilton was behind him and Verstappen suddenly slowed like that, then that could have been an incident for sure.
So the battle between George and Kimi, it didn't feel like it was so much about energy and that, to me anyway, watching it. I don't know if you guys thought it was a bit different.
That was just driver skill. That was good.
Whereas in some of the previous
Yeah.
races, it's been like, it's just an energy boost. They're getting in front. They'll lose it on the next corner. Someone else get in front. That just seemed a bit of a boost kind of how the battles have been taking place. But this one didn't
Yeah.
feel like that.
It looked more traditional, and they also seem to be able to follow fairly closely, whereas in years gone past, because of all the corners here, like they're medium speed, sort of slow to medium speed corners, cars always found it difficult to stay close. But around here, they did, and the drivers made a comment of that in the post-race little cool-down room as well. And I noticed that during the race, Bernie Collins on Sky commented that some drivers were complaining about keeping tyres in the right temperature window. And perhaps the car behind, so if Kimi was chasing George, for example, Kimi was getting better heat from scrubbing his front tyres and was able to keep up. So not that it would have been an advantage to be behind, but it wasn't hurting them as much as it used to in previous years. I think that was the point she was trying to make.
I actually thought it was really good sportsmanship from the Mercedes drivers that both of them flat spotted their tyres, so that they each had one flat spot on their front tyres as well. So it wasn't an uneven event. They had one each. So I thought that was very good sportsmanship from them, that they were equalising it up for them.
It was definitely close racing between those two. But even with them changing positions and dicing, they were still managing to pull away from the rest of the field. So
Yeah.
that car's obviously in a good position and a good window. And like they said in the broadcast, it looked to be like 3 to 4 tenths a lap quicker during the race. So strong package there.
I think the only thing I didn't like about that battle at the front there was that there was two Mercedes cars, not two different cars.
Manufacturers.
Yeah.
Two manufacturers, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But,
I mean, it was still good to watch, don't get me wrong, but like if it was, a battle between, Lewis and Verstappen, for example, or it's, a bit more interest.
Yeah. I think Mercedes, traditionally have been pretty strong at this track as well. But even the gap at the end with Kimi, like I think he pulled out a 10-second or so gap to win with at the end of the race.
Yeah,
He would not have been pushing flat out then either. So I think that Mercedes was particularly strong around that circuit. They looked closer the round before, but yeah, they were strong there.
And that just talks to their dominance at the moment.
Definitely. Yeah, if they keep developing at the same rate as the other teams, then yeah, they're going to be pretty hard to catch. But I really think Ferrari
they're
made a
just
good
keeping
step
their
forward.
nose in front.
Ferrari did a good job.
Yeah, unless you ask Charles Leclerc, who was quoted as saying, honestly, it's been one of, if not the worst weekends of my career. So, the poor guy.
But I think the last few rounds, Hamilton's really, really had the pressure back on him and seems to have at least the same pace that Leclerc's had. So I think Leclerc's going to find the rest of the year a little bit more difficult than he did compared to last year with Lewis.
Yeah, in the first few races, it was sort of seemed that Leclerc had Hamilton's number and was clearly faster, but not so this weekend.
No, I think Hamilton's comment, it was something about the simulator giving him the wrong idea on which direction to go with setups and things. And so I think he started to ignore some of that and just go with his own gut instinct, and it seems to be paying off.
Yeah, so he's saying he didn't touch the simulator leading up to this race like he didn't touch the simulator leading up to China, and both of those races he felt good and confident in. So we're seeing Lulu come into his groove and now feeling good in Ferrari. And he's been out there and saying that he's there for another year. So we know that he had a 2-year deal with a 1-year option. And so for both sides, both Ferrari and Lewis, and Lewis has said that he's there for another year. So so that's showing him confidence.
There were some
But his
rumours
pit
about
guy
him.
was clearly touching his tyres.
There were some rumours about Hamilton. I guess all started by the press. Talking about him maybe retiring, but he certainly squashed those in the press conference. He wasn't non-committal. He was very clear. He said, "I'm going to be here for a long time yet." So, it sounded pretty positive, I guess, as far as Lewis fans are concerned.
Yeah, and
you've really got to look at it and go,
Behrman's gone, oh, bugger!
Damn it.
Yeah. How does a rumour about, Hamilton retiring make any more noise than a rumour about Alonso retiring and not finishing even races?
Yeah, exactly.
Again, it's been a slow couple of news weeks. We were still hearing about Christian Horner and everywhere he's going to go. I mean,
well, he's going to start the BYD team. Didn't you read that the other week?
Speaking of slow news weeks, haven't we got a graph with some groundhogs on it coming up?
Well, yeah. Look, the comment was made. The comment was made last week about, well, we haven't had many graphs, and so I've gone bing. But no, look, had a bit of spare time on my hands, so I went back to listen to some of our past episodes. No, I was listening,
dude.
I was listening to our Canadian Grand Prix episode, the preview, and I've gone, God, we've mentioned a lot of groundhogs in this episode. So I went back to last year, and so I'm going to throw this up on the screen here. You'll see episode 31, which was our Canadian preview for 2025.
Are they flattened groundhogs or just pictures of groundhogs?
Has Albon hit one of those?
So we had zero mention of groundhogs in the preview for last year. After the race last year, we had mention of 2 groundhogs. In our last episode, we had a mention of 11 groundhogs. Now, that's in the edit.
That was mainly Huppy, to be fair.
As I went back, we actually mentioned
I'm sorry. That's mostly my fault. I'm sorry.
29 times, Huppy. 29 times. So I had to do our listeners a favour.
I hate to feel what your count's going to be from the end of this episode. We probably just mentioned groundhog about 22 times in that speech.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. There's another graph coming.
Unfortunately, Lachlan's the Canadian prediction there of 60% chance of a groundhog being murdered.
Well,
did come.
That went through the roof to 100%.
Yeah,
and we know of at
practice.
least 2. We know of at least 2. So I don't know whether. I don't think a minute silence works too well on audio mediums or YouTube either. But we should pay our respects to the
sign of respect.
But we encourage you all to take the moment after the podcast is finished to remember our fallen heroes.
And can you just adjust my script for next year too? That instead of a 60% chance, we're just going to change to 100% chance that a groundhog's going to
you using the Canadian weather feeds. So.
Well, no, I was talking to
every
Nathan
year
on
it's
this
pretty
one.
much 100.
Yeah.
All right, okay. We'll make some adjustments for next time.
Yeah. So the end result for the weekend was we saw for the sprint, Russell took pole and first, followed by Norris and then Antonelli. And then for the main race, Russell took pole again, so breaking the potential record for Kimi having pole win for 4 races in a row. But Antonelli did end up taking first for the main race, followed by Lewis, followed by Max Verstappen. So as we go to the driver standings, we can see that Kimi here now has taken a substantial lead in the championship, sitting on 131 points, with George Russell in second position with 88 points. So again, sort of on a similar trajectory until this weekend.
So, Christian, would you call that a commanding lead at this point in time, or a title-winning lead from
I called it a commanding lead last week, so I'm sticking to that, yes.
Right, okay. Just like to check these. That's okay.
The only thing I say about Kimi here, and again, this is about experience, and we saw this in the sprint race. So with Kimi breaking late into turn 1, and so actually having to cut through on turn 2, that's where George had his number, just being able to control it. And maybe this is the opportunity, Happy, to talk about the big boy words that you used at the end of the sprint race. It wasn't terrible.
Remind me.
I don't think that I can repeat them on the broadcast.
Not on YouTube.
But
anyway.
you weren't happy with George's behaviour.
Well, no, he was a bully. Poor Kimi. Plus he was ruining my prediction points, so I wasn't happy. No,
I think that had a lot more to do with it than anything else, to be honest.
I think so. But look, we've still, how many rounds? We've done 5 rounds. There's probably another, there's another 5 or 6 to go before the halfway mark of the season. So, and look, you can see by the graph in the driver standings that George has taken a dive there, but it's because of a DNF, and we can't say that that's not going to happen to Kimi down the track either. But Kimi certainly has some good momentum on his side, and 4 wins in a row. He'd be loving his bonus pay packet at the moment, I'd imagine. So I don't know what his bonus is for a win, but it's got to be pretty good.
I've got to say at this point, this is very reminiscent to me of McLaren from last year, where at this stage, Oscar was peeling ahead, Lando was languishing. And you know what? My prediction again this year is I think Verstappen's going to come through and nearly clinch this one.
Wow.
I wouldn't rule it out based on previous years.
He's exactly where he wants to be.
He's where
he's just
he
down
wants him
there.
to be.
You boys wait.
I mean,
he's
I thought he
continually
would have been a
improving.
GT3.
He could probably win it in that.
Yeah. I think for a young driver like Kimi, it might be harder to maintain a championship lead than to chase for one. So I think there'd be a lot of pressure out leading out the front like that with a growing margin. So yeah, we'll see how he goes.
When does this get in his head?
Mid-season.
It's already in his head. He's young. He's leading the world championship in Formula One. He's had 4 wins in a row.
Well, you saw the red mist from Kimi. He needs to get angry again and make a mistake. And as I said, this is where experience comes in. George came into this weekend, and with all the press and all the naysayers, myself included, saying that he's cooked. He's come in saying, "I'm feeling good. Forget. Miami was an outlier. Forget. I'm actually feeling really confident," and he showed it. And confidence gives momentum, and that's the thing that's behind Kimi, is that he's got these wins, which is giving him that confidence and that momentum. But yeah, let the red mist settle in, and this is where Bono came in on the radio saying, "Calm down, calm down. You're talking to a 19-year-old who's getting annoyed at his teammate because he's getting blocked, and then you had Toto have to come in and say, Kimi, pull your head in." So he only has to get angry and do something silly, and to your point, that's a DNF,
Take
which
both of them out
turns it
and
the other way
opens
around.
championship.
He needs to take next week off and go sit on the couch with his trainer and coach and just get his head back in the game. Just level it out a bit.
So that then takes us to the constructors' standings, and we can actually see that from the constructors, we've got Mercedes, who have got a clear lead here with 219 points, with Ferrari in second at 147, followed by McLaren at 106. All 3 of those teams showing good trajectory. Obviously, McLaren did not have a good weekend, which has knocked them off a little bit. But yeah, Mercedes with a commanding lead here as well. So, and we've seen this before, when Mercedes have a strong car, they are almost unstoppable.
I think the gap between Ferrari and McLaren, I think that'll be frustrating McLaren, because I think the underlying car that they have actually has potential to be as quick or quicker than the Ferrari, but they certainly don't have the reliability or the consistency at each racetrack yet. So I guess we'll see what Monaco brings for them. But yeah, Ferrari, on a good trajectory. They're doing.
Ferrari again are consistently at the pointy end of things. McLaren aren't there consistently at the moment.
Not yet.
And so, speaking to that, Huppy, do you attribute that to them just being able to get in sync with the Mercedes engine, or do you see it as a bigger problem than that?
Don't know. It's probably just getting to grips with their platform, how they tune the car, how they use their deployment, the reliability. Like, they don't want to lunch a gearbox. That didn't happen last year. So that's something they'll need to look at as well. They're under a bit more pressure this year because they had such a strong year last year. They really started behind the 8 ball, and they just can't afford to be making strategy mistakes. They'd made good strategy calls the last couple of years. So they really worked well together as a team. And, starting the race on intermediates today was a real cock-up. So I think they'd be asking some big questions internally about that, because that's probably what cost them. They looked like they had pretty good pace in the sprint race. They looked after their tyres well. They found a bit more pace in qualifying, so they started high up on the grid. So they were doing all the right things, and then bad strategy call with the tyres. So I think they threw away some big points.
Isn't that the question they should have asked last year? And was it Las Vegas where they really mucked up their strategy calls?
Did they
after that one?
Did they muck it up? I mean, if you watch Drive to Survive, they knew that the car was too low. That was the point at which,
I think they
As the
did.
cameras there, they've said, don't forget Netflix is behind you. And they 100% knew what they were doing. I reckon they were being cocky and were seeing what they could get away with.
Yep. And that's why they've got Lando to lift and coast so much at the end. They knew.
But their results from last year wasn't that they just had one good year. They'd been building up to that.
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
they're on the rebuild now, like all the teams are. Well, you shouldn't say they're all on the rebuild, but they're
It's
all
level playing field.
They're all starting to build now.
Yep.
Good on Mercedes. They've managed to hit the ground running really well in year one. And I thought others would have caught up a bit quicker. I mean, it's obviously not that quick a process, but by next year, I think there'll be a lot more teams that'll be really catching up. Aston Martin included.
You'd like to see the 3 or 4 top teams next year all fighting it out together, as opposed to having the big gap between it. And then the midfield, everyone else should pretty much be midfield from that. That's what you'd like to see.
But this always goes to the fact that there is benefit to being a works team. If you're making your own PU and putting all that together, you've got the advantage, especially early on, because you know how everything fits together and how everything works. We see that with Mercedes. We see that with Ferrari. McLaren's an outlier, but McLaren RA, a great fit out. You're seeing that even with Red Bull. And I mean, the question was with Red Bull going with the Ford powertrains, how that was going to work. I think this is where credit's due. Red Bull have done an exceptional job in essentially becoming their own works team almost overnight and actually delivering on that. They've had a couple of reliability issues at the start, which you'd expect to see, but they're delivering.
Well, they probably made the biggest step of the teams based from the start of the season. When you look at how they've been performing recently, because I personally would probably put Ferrari and McLaren equal performance at the moment. And Red Bull were well behind them in the first few rounds, but I think Red Bull are a lot closer to them now, a lot closer.
Yeah, both of them, Max and Hadjar both had pretty good weekends.
Yeah, and that's exactly right, Schwags. I mean, you look at, and we were discussing this morning, yes, at the end of the last lot of regs, the car was designed around Max and no other driver had a chance. But you're seeing a Hadjar now who, from that perspective, finished 2 spots behind Verstappen in the race. So he's delivering. And so as they now develop this team, you might see that they're going to, yes, the team's always going to have Max as their number 1 driver, but are they going to start to develop a bit more equally through the team now with Laurent being the head of that?
Given it's a new car, they can design Isaacs around him, especially if he's still turning up on Saturday and performing on Sunday. Although he does need to practice not doing 2 moves under braking. He did get pinged for that.
Rookie mistake. And that's it.
Wow.
But that's a rookie mistake. And I mean, yeah.
Maybe you'd get away with a bit of that in some intense F2 racing, but not in F1. Yeah, that was a bit too much.
Average is the word we're looking for.
So moving on from the drivers and constructors, we will then move to.
No, look, we've run out of time. We're going to have to finish up the episode.
I've got to talk about F1 Fantasy. So I mean,
we can do that. That's fine. Yeah, we can do that part. That's all right.
We'll just skip over that other thing. Yeah,
you can kick the can down the road if you like, but eventually you're going to have to put up a graph.
So very quickly, F1 Fantasy, Bronny Team 1 is sitting in first place. Closest to from our team is myself in 7th. I've actually been pipped by my son now, so I mean, that's even worse. And then for the F1 Predict, I'm sure being Lockie, you forgot to do those again this weekend.
I haven't done them. I think I've only put 2 weeks in. Yeah.
Don't worry. And I forgot to do it this weekend as well. So I still sit in first position, but, through no effort of my own or yourselves. But as we loop back around now, Happy, I know you've got it keyed up, ready to go. But we've seen the overall standings for the predictions for the DownShift Championship.
Yes, we do. Let me bring that up. Here we go.
Oh, you've made it into a video as well.
Yeah, no.
He's got a lot of time on his hands, Dan. A lot of time.
It's animated so we can enjoy it. So if you click the button, you can see.
Who's we?
See?
Yeah, who's we? I think now's the time for that minute silence for the Groundhog.
So yeah, none of us scored super high. I think George having his DNF hurt a bit. None of us got the bonus pick. No, we didn't pick the right person to hit a Groundhog either. But at least we all scored some points. Even the Magic Hat got a few points, Dan.
A point.
Or 1 point, sorry.
So as I analysed this today, because I'm there going, where has Happy achieved? And it was Australia that's carrying you through. the rest of us boys, we really need we need to have some out of the box predictions that we can knock Huppy down a peg or
scored good
two.
points
Only
for
by
Australia. Look at it.
Only
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But no, so no, congratulations, Huppy. Another good weekend for you, and making a even stronger lead in regards to retaining that trophy that's sitting behind you.
Then we can talk about Monaco next week, because that will perhaps reshuffle the deck a little bit. So we'll see what happens there.
I'm interested to see what happens in Monaco with the smaller cars.
Yeah, so look, I know that you guys are so excited about Monaco, and
nothing will change.
Huppy and
There will
Lockie,
be no
you've even
overtakes.
organised a
There are no
holiday to try and get
groundhogs
away.
to
But
take anyone out. No,
I'm so excited. I'm leaving the country.
but not soon enough to be able to preview the Monaco Grand Prix. So
No.
Yep. So next week we'll be previewing the Monaco Grand Prix, the four of us, before Lockie and Huppy disappear. And Schwags, look, from memory, I think when this happened last time, when you and I hosted the podcast, it was the highest rating episode of our entire podcast. So no pressure.
Best episode ever.
In statistics, that is, I think that's called an outlier. So you leave that number out of your averages, but.
Take
Anyway,
the highest and the
let's
lowest,
see what
take
happens.
those out, and then we go for the middle
You're
one.
clipping
Severely,
that's right.
whatever we can do. Yes, absolutely.
Schwags, I'm
sad for
spending
you
about
right
$100 on boosting the post.
Ah!
There we go.
I'll see
The
that.
truth comes out. The truth comes out.
I don't care. I'm going to drink beer.
So with that, Downshifters, yes. So next week we'll be previewing the Monaco Grand Prix, because we do have a weekend off as all the teams head to start the European leg of the season on the 7th of June. For those who have made it this far on the podcast, we would like to ask you to remember to like and subscribe so you can get more of this riveting content and in-depth analysis on the Formula One season. So until then...
And groundhogs.
And groundhogs.
No beavers.
Not allowed. No.
We'll see you all on the next lap.